upload today for the 22nd of the 5th, 2020 is with regard to being a victim of hate crime. These topics that are being discussed are just the ongoing experiences that are occurring for a victim of hate crime and a victim of revenge porn that has sought safety and protection within society, that has sought to have the constitutional rights that I'm entitled to be respected, and that have been obstructed by individuals that have perpetrated hate crime, unfortunately. So it's very worrying, as I keep mentioning, that there are individuals in a day and age of 2020 that are not comfortable with other people's success. It's very concerning that there are adults that are destructive and malicious and vindictive in destroying another person's hard work, good name, reputation, and character. So, as they say, unless you have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. But unfortunately, with what I've experienced, it's been quite difficult not to share on a daily basis about the ongoing assault of my constitutional rights. As I've mentioned, this has been ongoing since 2005, when I first experienced revenge porn and defamation. The career losses that occurred as a consequence of the individuals became more exacerbated and more serious when I gave birth to a beautiful child and got married in 2015. So it's very serious that individuals, as I keep mentioning in these uploads, have obstructed justice and have perverted justice and have damaged a good name, reputation and character. As regards the laws, to safeguard constitutional and human rights, there has been total lack of regard, not only for constitutional law, but also for spiritual laws. So this assault is ongoing. It's involving issues like imposter syndrome and such issues like that with regards to identity theft. The people that have spoken of me so ill and so maliciously, I'm very concerned about. I'm very concerned that other people involved in this vendetta have not been able to respect another human being's privacy, another human being's worth, and another human being's abundance and prosperity in the world. So this breeds contempt and ill fortune and ill-gotten gains in this entire vendetta. The issues of homelessness and poverty have become issues for me that I would not have ever have imagined with my qualifications and my background, but you just don't know what to anticipate when people are very vindictive in a vendetta of hate crime. So it's one issue to overcome revenge porn, but hate crime is more insidious, and especially with the advancements that are occurring and the unlawfulness also that's occurring. So those obstructing the rights of a human being from attaining medical care, from attaining their profession, their chosen profession. In this particular instance, my profession is as an educator. To say that I've had to share my qualifications, my documents of what I've qualified as online in these uploads just goes to show how invasive and intrusive and how defiant the culprits of this hate crime have been in lying about my background and my profession, that they can't respect a teacher in 2020, and that they have disrespected a teacher in 2020, not just an educator of the classroom, but a spiritual teacher as well. That there have been so many violations is a very sad sign of the times. Imposter syndrome is a very worrying syndrome for people to be preoccupying themselves and over-involving themselves in another person's experience. It's quite disturbing to be experiencing this without the supports or services that I'm entitled to. It's very serious that there's a legal obstruction occurring with regards to my constitutional rights, my marital rights, to two farm holdings. the financial abuse, as I keep mentioning, the financial gains that people have been involved in as a consequence of causing these problems since 2016, 2017 is even more sinister. So, as I mentioned in one of the uploads for the 20th, there's good and bad choices, and unfortunately, with how this vendetta is being exacerbated and continued and facilitated, there just seems to be an onslaught of bad choices and unlawful choices being facilitated, not just from a legal perspective, not just from a judicial perspective, but from a spiritual perspective. Spiritual violence is very serious. I've experienced about 4 different various attempts of spiritual violence being perpetrated against me. In a small community, in a small town, these kind of operations and vendettas are easily orchestrated when it's not what you know, it's about who you know. So there's been a lot of ill-gotten gains, and there's been a lot of good hard-earned money thrown into a very bad situation, while impoverishment is being imposed upon me to restrict my hierarchy of needs, and compensation that is owed for the damages done to me have intentionally been withheld from me. As for individuals that have attempted to justify speaking on behalf of me while I have been sharing publicly about these awful experiences that I'm experiencing, just highlights the loopholes and falsehoods in their entire charade that they have poorly orchestrated. Bodily integrity violations that have been perpetrated without consent, without medical care that I am treating by myself, is just one of those loopholes. To be discussing these matters is quite embarrassing, but these are the problems that are being presented in a human rights violations vendetta. This is a sad sign of the times, as I keep mentioning, and the supports that are, to be provided for victims, a protection order that I'm entitled to be withheld from me because of these people that are trespassing into homes, that are laying claim to experiences that they haven't experienced, laying claim to financial gains that they have not earned honestly, are all the issues that I am concerned about. As for what's good and wrong, what's good and bad, and what's black and white, and these kind of matters, the issue of what's real and unreal is also a very relevant concern. So you can't always believe what you see, you can't always believe what you read, you can't always believe what you hear. We know that the media is able to send out many different messages with regards to culture and sociology. As a student and graduate of cultural studies from the University of Limerick, I feel obligated to document my experiences as a victim of hate crime, and as they have mentioned in recent times, cultural obstacles occurring, and there's also been very serious creative and intellectual theft that I've also experienced. So these people taking liberties with damaging my health without providing me with the medical care and the compensation that they owe for damaging my health and for violating my privacy, and to have discussed a person in a defamatory fashion without any honesty or without any substance to what they're saying or without any credibility are all very serious issues for a victim of hate crime and revenge porn in a modern age of 2020, and especially in a democracy. So, as I've mentioned in all my uploads, I have sought the information that I'm entitled to be furnished with in order to make informed decisions and to live fruitfully and abundantly within a democracy. Unfortunately, not only has justice been obstructed, but the entitlement that I have to information with regards to my farm holdings, with regards to my rights, with regards to my legal rights, have all been prevented by these culprits of hate crime. So there seems to be no respect at all for the laws of the country. There seems to be no respect for the laws of the land. There seems to be no respect for the laws of faith and spirituality. There seems to be no respect for a person's good name, reputation, and character. So when this occurs, and when people abuse their power, and when people abuse their positions, and when people unjustifiably damage the livelihoods and well-being and prosperity of another human being because of hate crime, and simply because of hate crime, then I hope all individuals that are cognizant and conscious and conscientious of these kind of wrongdoings and offences being perpetrated against an innocent mother are aware of the potential and possibilities of being targets and victims of these kind of people that misuse and abuse their positions in the society and day and age that we live in. So the culprits, as I've mentioned, I'm aware of. The assistance that I'm aware of that has been withheld from me is very serious. So those hindering and damaging my personal life, my rights, my prospects, my potential have done untold damage and have done immense effort and work to suppress the honesty and truth of this situation with their lies and their falsehoods and their damaging claims that are completely outrageous, so that there hasn't been any integrity by those people that owe so much to me is a very sad sign of the times. As a law-abiding citizen that respects other people's rights, this absolutely is shocking for any mother in 2020 to be experiencing damage done to a body unethically and unlawfully, and the alteration of any facts of any citizen by those abusing their positions and power are at an awful cost, risking other people also. So between what's real and unreal, and people having a position and having no position and having no authority to intrude upon private adult citizens and falsely claiming to have a role in people's lives that they don't even have knowledge of or any right to have involvement with, is a very serious intrusion and interference. So there's been a lot of foul play and filthy tactics involved in this. As a Royal Angelic light worker, I've had to contend with a lot of bad behaviour and unprofessional misconduct, and the people intruding upon me and obstructing the human rights agencies from assisting me and from safeguarding me from these wrongdoers and offenders, and those people misinforming and defaming is doing an awful ill service to the greater good of the land of saints and scholars. So that's my upload, my first upload for today. There's a lot of unprofessional behaviour that I'm experiencing without support. There are people making awful claims with regards to not just health and well-being, not just with regard to mental health, and not just with regard to the past, the present, and whatnot. These people that I am sharing my uploads publicly about, that I'm aware of the falsehoods that they are claiming, are a disservice to society in causing such very serious damage to the pillars of society, the agencies and bodies that are to uphold society and the integrity of the Constitution are blatantly disrespecting this citizen and this citizen's constitutional rights. So I doubt very much that the forefathers and founding fathers of the Constitution and this country will be in any way grateful for those that have caused this disgraceful controversy of wrongdoings, that they are at an awful effort to conceal, suppress, and distract people from. So the United Nations, if you wouldn't mind seriously acknowledging the different facets to this vendetta of not just revenge porn,